Imagine inside you there is a hidden spring, a silent river that flows beyond your age and your body. This river does not come from your heart or your lungs, it comes from the very root of who you are. That spring is your sexual energy. And it's not only about desire or impulse, it's a line of light that ties you to the creative force of the universe. If you are past 40, 50, 60, or even 80, you need to understand something important. Your creative energy does not disappear with age. What changes is how you use it, and that is where both the mystery and the risk exist. Many people, as they grow older, slip into automatic habits. Masturbation becomes something mechanical, like switching on a light without thinking of the power behind it. You look for a quick moment of pleasure, but forget that with each release, you are not only letting go of tension, you are also letting go of one of your strongest sources of vitality, mental focus, and even your connection with the divine. The old traditions knew this well. In Taoism, Tantra, and the hidden schools of both East and West, sexual energy was seen as sacred fire. A fire that could burn you out in seconds, or be directed toward your heart, mind, and spirit, turning into fuel for health, creativity, and expanded awareness. This is not about rules or judgment. It is about waking up. It is about realizing that the same energy you spend without thought today can be turned into endless strength. That every sexual act, alone or with a partner, can be more than pleasure, it can become a ritual, an alchemy, a conscious creation. What follows is not a sermon or warning. It is an invitation. An invitation to discover the hidden power living inside you. To open a door that, once opened, will change forever how you see your body, your desire, and your life. To understand how powerful this is, we must look back through history and walk into the temples of the past. In those sacred places, sexual energy was never treated as a simple physical act. It was a bridge between the human and the divine. In ancient China, the Taoists spoke of Jing, the vital essence. They believed every drop released, every spasm of pleasure, carried pieces of that essence. To waste it without care was like letting precious water leak from a cracked pot. But saving and transforming this energy could renew the organs, sharpen the mind, and expand spiritual vision. In India, Tantra called this force Shakti, the primal feminine energy. Guided with awareness, it rises through the spine as Kundalini, waking up hidden centers of consciousness. The purpose was never suppression, it was transformation. To change desire into light, impulse into understanding, pleasure into spiritual joy. In ancient Egypt too, conscious unions, and even ritualized self-pleasure, were seen as acts of magic. They taught that arousal opens an energy channel, and if directed toward a higher aim, it could affect health, matter, and even destiny itself. Over time, many of these teachings were hidden or twisted. Organized religions began to treat sexual power as something sinful or shameful. Still, within sacred texts and in the secret practices of monks, nuns, and hermits, the original idea survived. Creative energy is the strongest spark a person can develop. But today, intimacy is often treated as something casual, just quick images, instant excitement, and easy consumption. The oldest traditions say something very different, that this same energy, especially in adult years, can become medicine, a source of long life, and a doorway to higher awareness. That is why talking about awakening your inner fire later in life is not just about the body. It is a return to old wisdom that asks us to stop seeing sex only as an ending and instead see it as a tool for transformation. In the next part, we will look at how this energy works in your body, mind, and spirit. What happens when you choose not to waste it, but to use it carefully? When most people think about sexual energy, they only picture physical pleasure, release, or tension relief. But from the view of energy and consciousness, it is far deeper and more fascinating. Think of your body as a temple. At its center there is an invisible pot where your life force boils. This force is not only chemical, though hormones and fluids are part of it, it is also vibrational. Each time you feel aroused, that pot starts to produce a powerful, pure energy, like a spark that could light an inner sun. When you are young, that pot overflows, and even if energy is wasted, the body restores it quickly. As you age, though, the flow slows down, and every drop becomes more valuable. Each impulse and each moment of arousal holds part of the battery that powers not only sex, but also your mind, your body, and your emotions. If the flame is lit without awareness, ancient traditions called this a loss of essence. In the body this looks like tiredness, muscle relaxation, and hormone shifts. In terms of energy, it means that spark, which could have healed, created, or expanded you, was released without purpose. This is not about judging the act itself. The real issue is direction. Old wisdom schools taught that instead of letting the energy scatter, we can guide it, move it through the body, and use it to feed the organs and the brain. In today's words, it is like redirecting electricity to where you need it most instead of letting it leak away. In mature age, when the body no longer restores energy reserves as fast, the difference between wasting and transforming is vital. The same act can leave you drained or can leave you recharged and more alive. Modern science, carefully, is starting to show what mystics already knew. Sexual energy releases a storm of brain chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin all play a role. But what is not often said is that we can learn to manage this storm, avoiding the crash that follows and instead using the high point to improve health, memory, mood, and creativity. In this way, orgasm does not have to be something that empties you, it can be a controlled burst that expands you. And self-pleasure, far from being a shameful habit, can turn into a conscious practice, a path of self-knowledge, and a trigger for spiritual growth. In the next part, we will see how, in practice, this energy can be cultivated and changed into true medicine for body and soul. If we agree that creative energy is one of our greatest powers, then the next step is to learn how to stop losing it and start transforming it. This idea is ancient. Taoist masters, tantric yogis, and Western alchemists all wrote about how sexual energy, when directed properly, becomes the fuel for growth on every level. They explained it like this: to use energy without awareness is like opening a dam and letting the water spill out instead of turning the turbines of life. But when you learn the art of transformation, that same current rises within, what Taoists call the microcosmic orbit, and feeds every cell, every thought, every heartbeat. The key is to shift the focus, not to chase pleasure as the main goal, but to let it come as a side effect, and sometimes not seek it at all. This is not about repression, but about redirecting. Picture it like this: instead of letting a fire burn wood until nothing is left, you use that same fire to warm the whole house through the night. It all begins with awareness. When arousal starts, breathing is your friend. Slow, deep breaths that fill your belly help the energy move upward through your spine instead of staying stuck below. Imagine that energy as golden light rising up, flowing through your head, clearing your mind, and softening your heart. Another important step is conscious muscle control. By gently tightening the pelvic floor and lower belly, rather than fully relaxing, you avoid complete release and make it easier for the energy to spread inside you. Ancient teachers said this action closes the lower door and opens the upper one, keeping the life force from escaping too soon. If you practice this often, it not only protects your physical vitality but also changes how you see desire itself. Desire is no longer a force that controls you, it becomes energy you choose to use. It stops being the master and starts being the servant. More than just physical, there is also a vibrational side. When energy is lifted to the heart, it becomes kindness, care, and love. When lifted to the mind, it sharpens intuition, focus, and creativity. This is sexual alchemy at its core, turning raw instinct into something higher. It doesn't happen instantly, it takes practice, patience, and a genuine wish to change your relationship with yourself. Lighting your inner fire is no longer a quick outlet but an act of connection, a moment with yourself that leaves you feeling more complete than before. After such a practice, instead of emptiness, there is fullness. Instead of a drop in energy, there is expansion and presence. Over time, you'll feel more daily strength, steadier emotions, and a clearer mind. In the next part, we'll see how these ideas can be applied in daily life, so your energy becomes a constant source of vitality instead of a habit that weakens you. Theory without practice is like keeping a seed locked away. It has life, but it never grows. By now you understand that creative energy is more than biology, it is a sacred current that can feed every part of your life. The challenge is to use it daily without slipping into unconscious patterns that drain it. The first step is self-observation. Not with strictness, but with honesty. Ask yourself, when do I feel the strongest urges? Are they physical, emotional, or an escape from something I don't want to face? Simply asking the question turns an automatic reaction into inner awareness, and that awareness opens the door to self-control. The second step is breathing as a tool. When the impulse rises, instead of reacting right away, sit, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Imagine each inhale lifting the energy from your lower body to your chest and your head. Even 2 minutes of this can shift everything. The third step is movement. When the body is stuck, the mind and energy also get stuck. Walking, stretching, yoga, or simple hip and spine motions keep energy moving so it doesn't gather only in the sexual center. As the ancients said, still water decays, but running water stays pure. The fourth step is creating outlets for creativity. Sexual energy and creativity come from the same source. Writing, painting, music, dance. Any form of creation is a way to redirect it. When you channel it, desire stops being compulsive and becomes fuel for projects and passions. The fifth step is to feed the heart. Raising energy is not only about sending it to the mind, but also opening the chest so it changes into love. Give time to meaningful relationships, not only sexual ones, but connections where you share care, presence, and attention. True love is the great transformer, it turns desire into compassion. And here comes the sixth key, make containment a ritual. Set periods of time where you choose not to look for immediate release. This isn't repression, it's about building patience and saving energy so you can later use it in ways that uplift you. You can give these periods a small ceremony, light a candle, sit in meditation, or write down your intentions. In this way, holding back stops feeling like loss and instead becomes an act of strength. Living with these keys doesn't mean cutting off your sexual power, it means refining it, turning it into a subtle art, a source that flows like an endless spring. With time, you'll see that real pleasure isn't only in the peak moment, but in the strength, clarity, and presence that come from directing your energy wisely. At that stage, you can no longer treat your sexual energy as something minor or a passing urge. You will recognize it as the hidden jewel inside you, a fire that can either burn you or light your path, depending on how you guide it. What for most is a quick, forgettable act, can for you become the center of personal transformation. Your age is not a limit, it is your biggest advantage. Because in maturity, you no longer seek experience out of curiosity or impulse, but with a deeper purpose. The awareness you now hold is the perfect container for this force, letting you direct it toward what matters most, health, creativity, and your spiritual bond. Wasting this energy unconsciously is like pouring fresh water onto dry sand, it vanishes without a trace. But used with presence, it becomes an underground stream feeding the roots of your vitality. This is not repression, nor moral rules, it is inner alchemy. It is the skill of taking an instinct and turning it into fuel for your growth. Every thought, every feeling, every sexual act belongs to the same energy circuit that sustains your life. When you let this energy gather, move, and rise, you unlock inner doors you never knew were there. Your skin becomes brighter, your gaze stronger, your mind sharper, and your spirit more connected. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Because unused wisdom turns to dust in the mind. This is the moment to act consciously, to stop letting habit drain you, and to make every intimate moment a chance to strengthen your body and expand your awareness. If these words reached you, it's not random. Maybe a part of you already knew this truth but needed to hear it again. Maybe this is the start of a journey where you realize that true youth is not measured in years, but in how you manage your life energy. The inner guardian that wakes in you today will not ask for perfection, only steadiness. It won't ask you to give up pleasure, but to turn it into your ally, something that supports you instead of leaving you empty. That is the difference between living on autopilot and living with mastery. And if something inside you has been lit by these words, I invite you to take another step. Subscribe to this channel so we can keep exploring these life-changing truths together. Like this video if it spoke to you, and share it with someone who might need it, because knowledge grows when shared, and your energy expands when you help others awaken. The choice is yours. What you do with your energy is what you do with your life.